Oh, I got to turn us off too.
What's up, everybody? Stacking Surfer and Nick's Coins here live with an awesome show that's coming to you guys today. I'm really excited about this. So this is our first joint show we're doing called Coin Talk. I looked around. It looks like a few people have used the name before, but I don't think anybody's prominently using it. So we're going to go with it for now. And we're excited to have you guys here. So if you could help us out a little bit to make sure everybody knows that the video's on and live, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up. That's going to help get it going. We're doing this at a new time. Neither one of us, I don't think, have done a live on Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific. So we're going to try and hopefully this time will work. This is what we're setting up to do right now. And we're looking to do this on my channel on Thursdays and then over on Nick's channel on Tuesdays, same time. So we're looking forward to this, and we're hoping you guys came prepared with questions, with thoughts, and we're hoping to answer those for you guys too. And if we can keep this fun and lively enough, we're hoping to also put this out on a podcast for you guys to share with your friends and family, which I think would be great. And it's also another way to just catch up on this later without having to do it through the video. And you can listen to it while you're running, jogging, or whatever else you're doing. So Nick, how are you doing? How are things today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing
And
great.
hi to everybody in the chat. It's good to see you guys, and thank you for joining us today or tonight.
It all depends on where you're at. For me, it's the middle of the day.
Yeah, and it's supper time in my area.
I love it. So, one of these days, guys, we'll have to get together in real life. So that'll be fun. That's, one thing that's been really interesting for me over the last several years. I took a new job in 2020 in January, and I spent 5 weeks at my headquarters traveling every week out there to where my company's located. And then COVID came in and they shut everything down. And it took me 2.5 years before I met people that I worked with for 2.5 years. One of the craziest things I've done in my life, yeah.
And you work with people on the East Coast, right?
Yep, all on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a chance of meeting them. And then when I finally met them, no one looked like this. So one thing I'll throw out there, guys, is like you're seeing our face head on. You're not really seeing the proportions. You're not seeing all the other stuff. And so I went up to meet people, and their face wasn't turned towards me. I had no idea who they were. And then they would turn around, and then I had to wait until their face was straight on to get a glimpse and go, oh, I know who you are. It was kind of interesting. So one of these days we'll have to get up with a lot of people and meet. So
that would be a lot of fun. I would really enjoy that. There's a lot of people I'd really like to meet.
Yeah. I think it'd be fun. So one of the things that I'll just throw out as we're getting started here, there was another YouTuber that's here local in Southern California. Dan I don't know his last name, but he has a channel called Allegedly. So I don't know if any of you followed his channel, but he's a good friend of Economic Ninja, and they did an event. I think it was for his 200th subscriber, and so they rented out a movie theater. Yep, 200,000 subscriber. They rented out a movie theater.
200,000. Okay.
Yeah, 200,000, and they played Rocky 3. And then a bunch of people came from around the country. And so I was able to meet a handful of YouTubers, ask them questions. And then they did a lot of silver giveaways. And their channels are kind of about getting yourself prepared for financial calamity or issues that may come up. So they have a little bit of a hint of silver and gold conversations. They don't really get in too deep into that, but they're talking more about banking crisis and financial issues. But it was cool to meet those guys and to kind of put a face to it. So I'm hoping one day we can do something like that, maybe on the West Coast and East Coast, for subscribers to show up and meet people. So we'll have to see if that's in the cards or not.
I just want to Rocky Stairs in Philadelphia. Yeah.
I think that'd be really fun. So let's see.
I think it'd be fun.
Are you able to see who's in the stream, Nick? Do you have it up so you can see people too?
No, I'm trying to get it up right now to see.
Okay. So I'm going to do some shout outs to the folks we've got out here with us today, if that's okay with you.
Yes, please.
So we've got Craig is joining us. We've got Seymour Rivers in the house. Guys, welcome. Thank you for coming. We've also got LTD Silverworks. We've got OC Stacker. Welcome. Thank you for coming. He's got a question, so we'll come back to the questions in a minute here. Mr. Chubby Hubby. That's a great name, by the way.
Yes, it is, and he's a great friend and a good guy.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming and stopping by. And then we also have Amy Harrell's in the house as well. Jeff
Amy?
Castell's in the house. We've also got Lester Exton, and we've got bike contests. I think he feels forever indebted and has to keep showing up because he won that Drew Trophy signed coin.
I mean, I'm so jealous. I wanted to win that so bad, and I tried. But that's a great coin right there that he
It
won.
was a great coin, and it's
I
a
mean,
little harder for people to purchase those. It's a lot easier to win them.
yes. Well, I mean, I really wasn't interested in the coin until you started showing us the coin, and we met the artist. That's what made it so cool, is that you kind of personalized it for us. I'm not a surfer, so um, that was really neat.
No, I thought it was fun, so I'm glad you guys enjoyed that, and I think there's going to be a lot more to do with those as well. I'm anticipating 2 more coins coming, so hopefully we'll have one here in the springtime.
So, do
And
you know what the design will be? What artwork you would choose to put on the coin?
I know lots of things.
You do. So, are you able to share?
I can't spill the beans yet. I'll
Oh,
tell you, it's one of the other 2 designs that I've showed.
oh, okay.
So I'll tell you,
Now
it's
I have to
two
I'll have
designs.
to go back and watch and see.
Yeah, I can't officially say it's coming out, but I'm pretty sure. I'm like 95% sure it's
Well,
coming.
I like the artwork behind you as well.
So, okay, there we go. Let me move over for a second. So I do want to talk about this briefly. It's not as big of a painting. I don't know if I'll keep it behind my head all the time or not because I don't know. It's okay, but as far as the backdrop goes. But what I wanted to point out on this that I thought was cool, I'm in technology and software and artificial intelligence, and this is the only painting Drew's ever done where it's square bubbles, which I thought was a little bit more digital than a round bubble. So I kind of resonated with that. And my channel is about surfing. I like surfing and love to surf. And you've got a little surfer here that's able to see their shadow. So this
Oh,
painting is actually called perspective. And
ah,
so much of life is your perspective that you look at. And so right now I see myself as a small channel, and or I am a small channel, but I see myself as a big channel growing into something way larger. And so I love this because it reminds me of surfing. You got cool waves. There's lots of fun color to it, and there's huge potential there. And so one of the things I've set out to do is to be the fastest growing stacking channel out there in YouTube. And I'm trying to do that as fast as I can, but I'm also trying to bring you guys the best content I can. And one of the
and you
things
have
is that
grown very quickly. You have grown very quickly. You've done very well, but you have a lot of great content as well. I mean, a lot of content, a lot of
thing.
good stuff.
So I'm hoping to have a lot of fun with it and bring you guys for the ride. And Nick's a good friend, and really one of the reasons I wanted to put this show together. Actually, I think Nick, I think you even brought it up as a good idea. I want to build our community. To me, this isn't about me. Okay, it's not about a single person, right? It's about the whole ecosystem of channels that are out there, and it's all the people that are participating. So, to me, what makes this really important is for us to share the mistakes we've made, the
Hmm.
successes we've had, and the questions that we're still trying to figure out. And so,
Yep. And
I I have to say I've bought the wrong kind of silver and gold before, and I've also bought
I
some of the
have as
right
well.
stuff.
Hmm.
Sometimes I buy more than I should at the time I'm buying, and other times I hesitate and I miss an opportunity.
Yep.
So there's a lot of that going on, and then there's so much to gold and silver stacking that I don't think any one person can be a complete expert in every aspect of it. So how do we learn from each other and try to figure out what we have interest in and keep ourselves from getting into too much trouble? So I think this is a great idea to come together and do this. Um, so Nick, we've got 19 people in the room right now and 13 thumbs up. So if you guys could hit that thumbs up, and that would be great. And we've got Magnum in the house as well. We've also got Water the Possibilities. Hello, welcome. The Broke
Good to
Stacker.
see
We need to help the Broke Stacker be the Rich Stacker.
you.
We're gonna
I
that's
don't know. We're all broke stackers.
we're gonna try to help you out. And then we got Jamie Pruitt in the house as well. And we have, let's see, Shiny Shinyman, welcome. Thank you for coming, guys. So, so Nick, what were you thinking about today? I think we got a couple subjects on the docket that we were looking at.
Yes. Well, star notes for one.
Okay.
There's an article that came out in Coin World, and I think you have that article if you want
Yep.
to read that. Because I do think there's a lot of collectors. I'd like to see how many people are collectors in the chat of star notes.
Okay. So if you have a star note, um, if you have a star note, go ahead and put a. Before you put anything down, wait until I tell you this. If you have a star note, put a 1. If you want star notes, but you don't have them yet, put a 2. And if you're not interested in star notes, put a 3.
And I'll just be honest, I have found star notes. I'm just not interested. I'm not interested, but there are a lot of people that are. And I think, let me see, I can see my chat
And
now.
then put a 4 down if you have no idea what we're talking about. Okay, so
Oh, I see some threes.
we got a lot of ones coming. We even have Jamie has 100 star notes. So Jamie might be an expert.
Wow. Wow. And after you read this article, maybe some of these star notes will be worth and have more value
I think
if
they
they
can
become really
definitely do
big.
that. So what I have found is, unfortunately, guys, I was looking through my safe, and I could not find my star notes. I do have a couple dollar and a couple $100 star notes. Unfortunately, none of them are rare. They're very common, so there's not a lot of value to them. But I do keep them around because they're still worth their face
And
value.
that's the thing. I had a couple, $20. I believe the series was in 2017,
Yeah.
so they weren't really worth much. So I spent them.
So I do have my silver certificates. I totally spilled my drink earlier, guys, when I was getting ready, so I had to take them out of my little holder. But these are not star notes, but you can see this is a silver certificate. I got this from my grandma's house. It was all wadded up, and I've had it pressed flat for about 40
That's
years.
awesome.
So for 40 years, it's been pressed flat, and it looks like it's in better shape now. And I looked that one up. It doesn't seem to have any extra value to it. And then this one I got from Guido Stacking's channel. So I thought that was kind of fun on the back there. This is also another silver certificate. And I think these are worth, about 25, $30, somewhere around there. But to me, these are the kind of notes that I look at, or something that's very historical.
Yeah.
In nature. I don't have any, but I've seen shops where they have a lot of colonial pieces or Civil War pieces. They may have Confederate notes, and they're huge. So those are kind of
Hmm.
cool and fun. But I don't have any star notes. But let's do this. I'm going to pull up the article right now, and we're going to go through that. And what I have, just a quick note from a few people here. We've got mostly ones. We've got a couple threes. We don't have any twos. So the people that want them have found them, and the people that don't want them don't seem to care too much about it. And we've got one person that is looking to understand what they are a little bit more. Um, so OC Stacker sells his to purchase more silver, which is a smart man, in my opinion. Um,
Yeah.
and most aren't worth a whole lot. So I think my $100 ones that are common might go for $120. It's really not worth my time to put that on eBay and pay the
No.
fees and everything
By the
else.
time you pay the fees, you've probably lost.
Okay, so let's do this. We are going to see if we can get this to work. Hopefully you are seeing my screen here, about the article star notes. And just so that we can make sure everybody sees that, okay, I'm going to pull up the feed so I can see it over here on my other screen. Okay, if you guys could tell me that, let me know if you're not seeing the screen. That would be great. It's black again. Goodness. Okay, let's
Yeah,
see.
it's black.
All right. We're going to change the setting on this real quick. What I'm going to do is, I think this is a Mac thing causing us problems. Can you see it now? You guys see it now?
No, I see a black screen.
Oh, come on, computer. All right, let's try one more thing. Okay. Now do you see it?
Yep, sure do.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna make this work. All right, now I understand why it wasn't showing. Okay. All right, so here's the real question that this article looks at. This is coming out of Coin World. So you can find this on coinworld.com. And the question is, are star notes becoming an endangered species? And I don't actually know. I have seen a few of them, but I haven't seen a lot of them. But let's take a look at this real quick. So the Bureau of Engraving and Printing has acquired equipment that can print Federal Reserve notes with non-sequential serial numbers. And that could mean the eventual end to the production of star notes. Shown are both sides of a series 2017 non-representative of regular star notes. So that is interesting. That I think could actually make star notes more valuable if we don't.
Eventually, yes.
Let's see.
A new printing process, it looks like.
Okay, so here's a note that I think is kind of interesting. So I'm sorry, let me leave it right here. The equipment, I don't know, it's got a bunch of letters. Fed Cash Services explains also provides additional production capacity by using these larger 50 subject sheets, but with a significant difference that they will result in major changes to what has been the norm. So currently the Fed Cash Services says new straps or wrapped packages containing 100 Federal Reserve notes with the serial number on the first note ending with 01 and the serial number on the last note ending in 00, which would be with a star note, replaces sequential serial numbers on dollars that are removed because they do not meet quality standards. So it looks like they're going to start going with a 00. That's interesting. The new printing process means that the future serial numbers patterned in the strap may contain gaps and will no longer be in sequential or consecutive sequence or sequential. The first note in a non-sequential strap is not expected to have a serial number ending in 01, and the last is not expected to have a serial number ending in 00. Thought they just told us it would. That's interesting. The transition period for the new printing press will last several years and will be phased in by denomination, starting this year with the $1 denomination Federal Reserve note. Fed Cash Services says non-sequential straps of the $1 note will be available based on local inventories. So here's an interesting thing. This tells me that they're still investing in paper currency. I've heard a lot of people talking about the dollars going away. There's going to be no paper currency. Everything's going to a CBDC.
Right, right.
This tells me that they're at least making some capital improvements and investments that would lead me to believe that that maybe the notes aren't going away as fast as some people think they are.
And that's a good thing, in my opinion.
So Jamie says a $100 fiat bill is only worth 13 cents, probably less with inflation. Yeah, they do continue to lose value. So that's interesting. So anyway, that's a new thing that we just found out about from the star notes. So here's what I would say. If you have a common date star note and you like holding on to them, there's no problem with keeping them. At least for right now, the value is still there. Now, inflation will continue to chip away at it, but you're going to have your denominated Federal Reserve note. If, on the other hand, you think they're going to go up in value, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. If it's a more rare star note, I could definitely see those doing better. But if it's a common star note, I'm not sure that this is going to make a huge difference to the price of those. You'll have to let us know in the comments, Jamie. I think you had the most star notes. Would that be any more valuable to you if there's fewer star notes, even if they're common? Anyway, that would be interesting, Nick. So, all right, we're going to
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to take, a little while for them to phase them out. And they're going to start with a $1 denomination.
I think so too. So that's interesting that it's going to take some time to do it, and they got to go through the one, they've got to go through the two, the five, the 10, the $20 bill,
20.
all the way up to the 100.
Yep. And you can go onto mycurrencycollection.com and see how common your star notes are.
Okay, so if I had my star note, I'd put a number in there. If anybody has a star note serial number with them that you want us to try it out on, we could do that live too. Otherwise, um, if you haven't done so, go to that site and you can definitely put it in. And it makes it pretty easy to check it. And I believe it'll also show you um, how common it is. So I'm going to pull it up on mine here so you guys can see it too.
I see we have Tiger Stacker with us now. Good to see
Oh,
you, Tiger.
you have Star Notes, Tiger? Okay, so I'm gonna pull this up so we can see this too. Okay, let's try this again. Hopefully this will work. There we go. Okay. So if you have the Star Note lookup, you can put in the denomination. Okay. And you can also put the year in that came up. And then you just put the serial number in and it'll give you that. So let's see, does anybody have a serial number that we can use? I don't know if anybody's got one. Joseph, we'll get to your question in a few minutes here. We'll definitely help you for that. Tiger's actually working, so he's cheating right now at the moment and helping us out. Okay, so if we do get a serial number, we'll put it in here. But basically, what happens is when you put the serial number in, you put the denomination of the bill or the note, and then you put the year. It's going to pull up and show you a scale of how rare it is. And it's also going to, I believe there's a second scale on there too that shows you the value potential of what it is too. So I don't have those in front of me right now, but when I do find those another time, we can bring them on the channel again and do that. The other thing I wanted to kind of show everybody too, Nick, real quick is,
Sure.
and we can continue on Star Notes for a moment, but I do want to talk a little bit about spot price and where gold and silver price is going, where we think, what's happening
Yes.
right now. But before we do that, just to check one last time, did anybody have a serial number for us to look up? Okay, I don't think we have that. Did you have anything else you wanted to hit on with the Star Notes?
No, I just wanted to bring this to the attention of the chat about star notes. I thought it was very interesting. So, they could do further research if they would like. It's not something I'm very interested in. So that's all I had with it.
No problem. I think it's great. So here's how I look at Star Notes, and then we'll move over to some of the gold and silver conversation. I think it's a fun hunt anytime I get money back from the.
Mhm.
So what's happened now to me is anytime I get Federal Reserve notes, whether I'm getting them from a store or from the bank or whatever, I start looking through all of them now, and I didn't do that
I
before.
do.
So I'm looking to see now, is it a star note? I'm looking to see, does it have, two repeating digits, one repeating digit, 4, 3. And then I look to see if there's different patterns on there. I don't have them all
Mhm.
memorized, but I know of maybe about 3 or 4 different ones to look for.
Mhm.
And then I've started looking for some of the stamping, the green stamps that are on there. Sometimes those are offset, and that can make it more valuable.
Yeah. Yes.
So I think on my star note that's common, it's offset, and that's maybe what makes it worth $120. But I do look at them. Okay, so we do have one. We have a couple to look up here. All right, let's see if we can do.
And I do look at all the serial numbers because you can even look up the serial numbers online to see, and they'll give you the cool factor, whether or not if it's a cool number, if you have, or what type of sequence you have. So I just don't know a lot about paper currency. It's just not something that I fell in love with when I started collecting coins. But I do look, and then I do research if I find something neat.
Okay, I don't see 2007 as an option, Amy. Um, I see 2006. I hope that's going to come up there. All right, let's try this other one.
2017, she just said in the chat, 2017. It looks like I got a 2, 3, 4, 5 sequence, someone said.
This. Okay, this is. I'll be right back in a second.
Okay. Basically, any star note that has a number under 100,000 are more sought after. Oh, there's some kind of neat numbers in the chat that I'm seeing. Jeff has a $100 bill. And two, a lot of it is based on condition, correct? Um,
Okay.
I think on condition of the bill and also the denomination, whether it's a dollar or $20 bill or $100 bill. I wonder.
So this one here has a run size of 3.2 million. Uh,
Okay,
Total
condition is
printed
key.
was 9.6 million, so that's a lot. So this is very less rare, and the run
Mhm.
size was less rare. So there's a lot of these. So this is one that probably isn't going to fetch you a ton of money. And one of the best ways to do that I have found is going over to eBay and checking that out.
Yeah, that's where I've checked out some of mine, and that's where I decided I'm just gonna spend the bill.
Okay,
And
so
I only found star notes in $1 and $20, nothing else.
I'm going to show you guys what I found on here, so you can see that real quick.
The the broke stacker said, "You guys made me go grab my wallet, and I'm checking now."
All right, so I'll show you what I
Mhm.
did. I went in here, I marked the $1 bill, 27.
Nobody cares about star notes really.
Yeah, that's okay.
Um,
We're still going to show you guys
but
from.
that's okay. I think there are no, well, I mean, I was just reading the chat. But I do think that there are a lot of people that are interested in star notes. I think that there are some that do care.
There are some that care. So here's what I'm going to throw out to you guys. We are going to move off of this in just a second here. So one, um, it's kind of a fun game for me. So I'll look through
Yeah.
my notes and
Mhm.
see if I find a star note. Then I'm going to go look it up and just see if I got lucky. And then I'll look at a few of those other serial numbers to see if I get something that's like a repeating pattern, four of a kind that's kind of spread out a little bit, or I'll look for key dates. And those are kind of fun to hold on to. We've sold a few of them on the channel before. We may give some of those away to other people as well as for fun. But this is how you go to look it up if you're looking for that. And this is how you're going to find out if it's worth, trying to sell it, hold on to it, or spend it. So when I look at this note, in my opinion here, with it being less rare and less rare, you're probably not going to get much more than $1 for it. It's probably not worth, trying to sell it. But it might be fun to hold on to, show your kids, that kind of thing. Um, last thing I'll say on Star Notes is I have not come across a super rare one, but what if you did? What if you came across one and there's someone that's willing out there on eBay to purchase it for 5 times its value?
Heck yeah, I'd keep it
I've seen people
and
going for
I would
that.
sell it.
You can
I
go,
mean, I would definitely do that.
yeah, you can go buy a bunch of silver with it too, right? So that could be really cool.
Yes, absolutely.
So I don't have a lot of interest in it, but I am looking now, and I'm kind of curious. So I thought we would at least share that with you guys. So next thing I wanted to show Nick is just looking at the gold spot price as well as silver.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes.
right now on Kitco, the market's close. So we have the price kind of locked in here now. Now that it's past 5 Eastern, and right now what I'm showing is a price for bid of 1864, so 1864 for gold and 30 cents. So we have seen movement down quite a bit. It came down a little bit more than 0.5%. And interestingly enough, we saw silver go up. So silver is now sitting at $22.61 and has gone up about 9 cents, so about 0.38%. which means that we're starting to see the gold and silver ratio move just a little bit, which I
Mhm.
find interestingly enough. And then palladium jumped up $50 today, or 4.19%, which is kind of interesting. Um, and then what I wanted to
Yeah,
show you,
with palladium though, I would like to see what the spot price was for as of last year. Um,
I can show you.
and I think it was much higher.
So let's look at palladium here. If we look at, let's see, where's the time on this? I usually do this on my phone. The format's a little bit different here.
Yeah, I'd like to see how it's because I do believe it was a lot higher last year. So it goes to show, how much of a dip
Okay,
and
let's.
how
We're gonna go one.
unpredictable palladium can be.
So actually, if we go back to that's gold. Sorry. If we go to palladium, we go 1 year. It was at $2,100 about a year ago,
Okay.
and it is now sitting at 1244, 1,244. So it's gone down quite a bit.
Quite a bit. So see, and that I have no interest in palladium, but if and I see a lot of people in the community starting to buy palladium. So, but if you look at it, what it was last year, I don't see it's not something that I would have probably put my money into.
So Craig says he can't wait for silver to drop to 17. It looks like he wants to buy and not sell.
Oh, well, I would love to see it at 17 again. I don't know if everybody else in the community would, but I would love to see it go down to 17 and I'd buy
I
a
would.
lot more.
Um, I like Eagles. I don't like paying more than $28 for Eagles. And
Right, same.
if we can get silver down to 17, I won't want to pay more than about $23 for Eagles. And I'm
I think
hoping down to that.
if it was down, if the spot price was down to 17, I would probably be getting a lot more Eagles at a decent price, as you had said. But then I'd probably buy some generic rounds as well, quite a bit of generic rounds, as close to spot as I could. Because then if it jumped back up, I would even go to my local coin store and just sell it.
Totally. And I
And
think that brings up a good
hopefully,
point, Nick. So, like right now, if you look at about a year ago, October 14th, it was at $18.29 for silver. Um,
oh, I wish
and
I missed an
I
opportunity.
think we may hit that again here. A lot of times you'll see a little bit of a dip down this time of year. But to your point, this is something that I do strategy wise. So this is not financial advice. This is just what Surfer's done in my strategy. Is I have actually come in and um, I will buy, say, generic silver or rounds or bars in gold, to flip. And when I see the
Okay.
price down really low, those are ones that if I can get them for very low premiums, I'll buy those and hold on to them. And a lot
Hmm.
of times I'll wait until it goes up higher and I will sell those. And
With gold, you can expect it to go back up.
with gold, you can expect to go back up. With silver,
Yeah.
you never know. But honestly, I think seeing silver go below 16 is sounds kind of crazy to me. I have a hard time thinking that's going to
I
happen.
could only dream of it. But I would love to see it at 16.
So I would love to see it down to 16. I mean, heck, if it went down lower, it would be great. But I don't anticipate it staying at 16 for very long. If you look at the chart from this last year, it didn't stay down there very long. It started to jump. So if we go,
No.
even if we go 5 years here on the chart, and we go back to this would be it, right? That was March. Okay, let's go back to October's right here. It didn't come down for very long, and it jumped back up. I think we're going to have, if you hit it down even at 18, I think you're going to see it start to bounce. Um, it could be manipulated. It could be thrown down a little bit longer, but I don't think it's going to stay
I
there
would even start I would start purchasing at 20, to be honest with you,
totally.
because what we've seen where it could go this past year and last year. So I would probably start buying at 20.
Honestly, if you look back to July 31st, 2020, silver has pretty much had at kind of an average price of just maybe about $24.
Hmm.
So if you're able to get it below 20, um, the only time it's been below that was a very short period of time last year. Since
So that's a good lesson for us. So if it does go below 20, buy.
so if it's below 25, I think it's a buy. If it's below
Yeah.
20, it's a I'm not ever going to tell you guys to back up the truck because I don't have a crystal ball, and that's a hard one to decide on doing. And always keep your emergency money outside of this.
Yeah.
But if it goes below 20, I think that is a really strong buy based on historical data here. You've got to go
Hmm.
back. You've
But
got
the
to.
data is out there, and they can do their own research, and they can determine what price that they would, back the truck up or purchase more when it comes to silver. Because I kind of haven't been buying silver right now. Um, but if it did get that low, be sure that I'm going to be going out buying some more silver.
So we got a couple of good comments here. I think we're looking at OC Stackers telling me a silver ratio of gold to silver ratio of 82 right now. So here's the other
Yeah,
thing
that's
to keep
right.
in mind is
Mhm.
if the silver ratio, the gold to silver ratio is above 80 and the price is below 20 for silver, um, I can't give you guys financial advice, but to me, that's a pretty good buy time.
Yep.
Um, if you start to see the ratio getting down to 60, that's a good time to start considering selling some of your silver and buying gold, in my opinion. A lot of people will wait for it to probably go down a lot more than that, but it's hard to say where it's going to go. It depends on your strategy for it. But if you don't have any gold and you have a ton of silver at that point, and you start to see the ratio equalize and go back the other way, that might be something to consider. Craig shouts out that if silver eagles are below 25, he's basically going to back up the truck on those. Um, he also mentions, cannot wait to see the spot price, no premium sales again. I got an opinion on that. Um, OC Stacker mentions, Nick, this is interesting. If we get below
Mhm.
$19 on silver, the mines will start to shut down. And, that may be true. I don't know if it's exactly at 19. He may have a better idea of that than I do. Um,
Yeah, that would be interesting. That would be interesting to watch. That's something now that he mentioned that I would really look out for.
so I think that could be really interesting. And then the other thing I would throw out there too is so let's talk about premiums for a second too. Um, I've spent way too
Oh,
much.
excuse me.
But
Somebody's asking in the chat what's considered generic coins. Could we explain that
oh
first
yeah,
before
let's
we
do it.
go? Go ahead. Yeah.
Um,
Did you? I
I'm
don't
going to
know
give
if
you
you had
guys an
something.
example. I'll be right back.
Okay. Operation cost per ounce, non-cost effective. He's going to get an example to show as well. And, and some of the mistakes I had made in my beginning of buying silver coins and is that now I would prefer generic and get it as close to spot as I can.
I would agree with that. Who was that statement from?
Oh no, that was my statement. I
Oh,
just
I'd
meant
agree
I
with you,
just yeah.
Nick.
Yeah. That was just me mentioning that once they see the generic silver, that I would prefer that as close to spot now and not buying. And you and I have talked about this, but we haven't come up with a better term. Instead of buying semi-numismatic, that can be very expensive.
It can. So here's an example of an American silver eagle. Okay, so I like to call these sovereign coins because this is a coin minted by the United States Mint, and it is
Mhm.
considered legal tender. So technically, any store in the United States is supposed to take this and give me $1 worth of goods or services. Now, a lot of stores are starting to go cashless. They won't take anything. You go to a stadium, a sports stadium, or you go to an arena. Sometimes they're not taking them, and they're doing all digital, but they're supposed to do that. Now, I will tell you, never do that because you'd be able to get 25 to $30 for an eagle minimum if it's in good shape, and it's worth way more than $1. But to Nick's point, these are coins that are going to cost you a little bit more money. So at spot price right now, someone would have to tell me in the chat, or maybe you can find it, Nick. I don't know exactly how much a silver eagle is going for at the moment, but I know they've been going for around $30 to $31 recently. And on some of the YouTube channels, I've seen them going for down in the high 28s to low 29s. And we're sitting at a spot price under $23. So there's still a premium on these coins, but it's come down drastically. These coins were
Yes,
going
it has.
in the 40s. And so to me,
So
I love, yeah, go ahead.
I just looked it up, and they go as low as 30.21 right now. I'm sure if I
Okay.
shopped around, maybe I could find it a little bit cheaper, but that's at least, better than what it had been, to your point.
Yeah, so looking at 3021, it's still quite a bit more than the spot price at 22.83. And so for me, I like to get these on a lower premium. Yankee stacking, we'll talk about a 20% premium is his max he'll go. With Eagles, I like to try to get it a little bit below that if I can too. So it really depends.
Yes.
But what I will say is I do want some more Eagles. I think they're highly recognizable. I think they're
Yep.
great coins that hold value over time that you can sell if you need to, or you could barter with these. They wouldn't be my first choice to barter with. It'd probably be some of my last choices to barter with. But if I can start picking these up under $25 a piece, I become very interested in doing that. Even if the spot price is 16, I'm gonna, even though
Hi,
it's
Miss Coin
so high,
Crew.
still look at
Miss
that.
Coin Crew just joined us. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we have a Miss Coin Crew in the chat with us. It's nice to have her.
Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Yes,
So
and they're really recognizable all around the world as well, and they're most counterfeited as well, so you have to be careful on where you purchase them. And Surfer has a video about that where someone had purchased a tube, I believe, and they were all counterfeited coins. So just be careful where you're purchasing your Silver Eagles from.
And I know you guys will see I'm not using gloves. I drop it more when I use gloves. So I either have them in cases or I'm not too worried
Oh,
about it.
Jamie found ASEs for $27. And if you'd like to share in the chat where he found those for $27, I'd be very interested.
Yeah, we want to know about that right now.
Yes, of course. We want to
And we
share.
want to watch it. So what I have now up, Nick, is I've got a 1 ounce JM Bullion generic bar.
Okay, perfect.
So maybe you could explain a little bit about what these bars are and how that might vary a little bit in price. Sometimes this may have a little bit of a premium, but it should be going for less than an Eagle.
Really, it's going to be as close to spot as you can get on silver.
So what I'll oh, we got something good in the comments now.
Well, let me see.
Yeah, so when coins are minted by a country, there's more perceived value there. You guys, it's still an ounce of silver. Okay, so it really has the same value as anything else, but there's a perception that it's worth more. It's more recognizable. It is something that is legal tender in a given country. But when you're looking at generic bars, a lot of people have a strategy of just going with generic bars or generic rounds. A round is anything that is round in shape that is not minted by a country will be considered a round, and anything that is round or square or rectangular or crazy shaped, but it's minted by a country and it has a denomination on it. Most of the time it'll have a year. Can't think of one where it doesn't, but it'll have a denomination on it. So this one here is 1 ounce fine silver, $1, United States of America, and so this is considered a coin. And so you can have coins that are shaped in all kinds of weird shapes. And then you can have things like these guys that are chocolate. And these are neither. This is just chocolate, but they do taste good. See, it's just chocolate.
Oh, I see. That's a big one.
That's a big one, isn't it? And then while we're on the subject of silver, before we jump over to gold too, I was thinking, we can hit a little bit of constitutional. So constitutional silver, for anybody that's new to silver stacking, is going to be U.S. quarters. And then I've got some dimes here. Dimes. And then also half dollars that were minted in 1964 or earlier. So you can see this one here if you look closely enough. Oh, come on. See if you can see the date there. You can see it's 1964 on that dime. And in this quarter, it's a 1934.
Yes, and then 65 through 70, you have 40% Kennedy half dollars.
Yep, you do. And then you can tell these have been in circulation. They're worn quite a bit. So
Mhm.
if you're looking at these kind of coins, a lot of times you're going to pay the same price, no matter how worn they are. So I like to kind of look through them. This one's pretty worn. This one is not as worn. It's a 1954, and so sometimes people are collecting by date. Nick is a little bit more of an expert on the rare dates and may be able to help you out with that. And so this leads me to a question that came up from one of the subscribers here that I wanted to ask you, Nick. Um,
Mhm.
so this is from Joseph, and he has. Let me see if I can find it here.
Hi, freaking awesome. It's good to see you.
He says, "Do you think I should sell my limited edition silver Acadia quarter graded by PCGS PR69 Deep Cameo or Deep Cam, um, Deep Cam, for more silver weight?" Do you have any thoughts on that? Are you familiar with that coin?
Arcadia, that is a state park in the state of Maine. So I would say hold on to it. I'm just kidding. It's just because I am in the state of Maine. But how much is that coin worth? I would have to scan it to see. I'm not really familiar with I have several of them myself, but they're not graded. So I'm really not sure on the value. If there's a lot of value in there, sure, might as well just sell it and purchase um, more silver, but I would get it as, the cheap silver as close a spot as I could. But and matter of fact, freaking awesome's in the chat, and he had sent me a 90% silver Arcadia quarter. And I want to say, but I'm not sure 100%, but I think the Arcadias are pretty low mintage.
Okay, so let's talk through this just a second, then, Nick. So if what process would you go through if you had that coin that was graded to figure out what the value is and to make a
If it
determination
was graded, I
of
have an app
selling
on my
more?
phone. I have NGC and I have PCGS, and I would scan the coin to see the value of the coin, and go from there.
Okay. And then how would you move a coin like that? How would you sell it?
Well, I have been selling some stuff on eBay, but the fees are quite a bit. So I would try to sell it peer to peer.
Okay.
I don't sell on YouTube. I don't have auctions. I don't, so I would just put it out there to people that I know that I'm in contact with that either to collect them or would appreciate them and just see if they would like to purchase.
That sounds great. And then the other thing I'll throw out to you, I do stuff on eBay. I do have an eBay store. I
Hmm.
have a lot of stuff on there at the moment. I have just a few things that I'm looking to move because I do want to get some more weight. And they're coins that
Hmm.
I have a lot of times extras of, or it may be stuff that I found out or filled that um, I no longer want because maybe I have too much uh, high premium silver that I'm trying to move.
Hmm.
So some of the like Star Wars and Marvel stuff out there. And
Right.
I like having some of that, but I think I'm a little too heavy weighted on that right now. So I'm trying to rebalance my portfolio of silver, and in some gold there too. So one thing I'll throw out to you guys is it is possible to sell on eBay. A lot of people ask questions about it. They look at it. You're going to pay about 13% in fees, and then oftentimes you're going to discount from what it may have sold earlier,
Yep.
move it. So a lot of times you're looking at about 20% fees if you include some advertising or some discounts there. And then a lot of times to move it, you're going to have to pay for the shipping. So at the end of the day, you're looking at losing about 20% on eBay unless you're going to do it on a regular basis. Because I am moving some gold coins, I am able to create a store, and I get charged between
Right. Yeah.
5%. So it's a little bit better for me, and I can be patient. I'm not trying to move it super fast. I do have like a $35 a month fee that I have to worry about, so I do need to move a couple coins a month to make it worth it. But for most people, what Nick said, trying to find someone else who would have interest in that you know is a great route to go. You can also look at a local coin store as well, but know your price going in there. Call them ahead of time, see what they would do for it. You may be able to negotiate a little bit, but you probably won't get as much for it, nearly as much as you could on eBay. But take into account that 20% difference to see if it's worth it. So that would be my
Yeah.
answer
See,
is, yeah.
I don't have an eBay store like you do, so I do have more, I'm charged more fees. Now, when you are selling on eBay, your gold move faster than your silver, correct?
It does. So
Mhm.
I have I just sold a Mandalorian 1 ounce gold coin. I think the mintage was 250 on it, and one of the reasons I sold it was because it went. I could sell it for $2,300. I put it up for $2,300. I think I paid 1950 for it. So
Oh,
when
wow.
when I'm able to buy a cool coin that has low mintage that has some pop culture to it for about the same price as an eagle or a buffalo, I will take a risk and buy a few of those when I'm stacking gold at the moment. Um,
Mhm.
and then I will sell them. So I've been able to sell that at $2,300. I sold recently um, a Queen's Beast completer coin. So it was the 10th of a series. That was a 1 ounce
Is gold or silver?
gold.
In the gold, okay, because I have that in the
Yep.
silver, so I was yeah.
So I sold that for 2,850, and I paid 1950
Wow.
or 1980 for that one.
Wow.
So
Yep.
I'm not against moving my stuff to make some money when I can. Silver, what usually happens for me on eBay with silver is I will go somewhere between losing 10% and making 10% on my silver. And so I may be willing to sell a coin that I can sell for $60 and pay the fees and lose $10 of that if it gives me $50 that I can then turn around and go buy 2 silver rounds with. I won't do that
Yes.
on everything, but I'll do that on some of my coins where maybe I've got duplicates or triplicates of it. Chet Stacker said that's pricey on eBay. It can be very pricey, guys, on eBay. And the
Yes,
fees
and
can be very
another
pricey.
resource too is if they have one of these books to kind of get the value
Yes.
of their
Everybody, in my opinion,
first.
should have one of those books, and you guys need to learn
Yeah,
how to use them and look up coins. And
yeah, and I have mine.
you got a bookmark too, don't you?
Yeah, well, I got
Yep.
tabs on them so I can
There you go.
find the coins faster. But, I was just trying to look up that Arcadia coin, and I don't have my glasses, so I can't really see
Oh, that happens.
see how much.
I got my glasses
Yeah,
on right
so
now, so I can actually see. But
yeah,
one
well,
thing I'll
not
point out
enough to
too,
see
Nick,
guys.
that you brought up yesterday when we were talking that I thought was pretty good too, is you mentioned using a if it's not in that book, it may be a coin you want to consider not buying, or at least have a second thought about buying because it usually means it's more. Well, first off, it won't be U.S., right? I think those are only U.S. coins in that book. Uh,
Yes, yes, this is only US coins, and to be honest with you, I'm really just into the US coins when it comes to constitutional.
all right, so could you hold
Well,
the book
yeah,
up again for
from the
some?
US.
I'm going to show you the
Yeah,
screen there, so you guys can see it there.
yeah.
So they come out with a new book every year. You don't necessarily need to buy a new one every year. Uh,
No, I don't think it's necessary to buy a new one
yeah,
every year.
I think mine's a 2021 as well.
Yeah, and I
Yep.
probably won't buy a new one probably for another 5 years. But it's just a guideline, a baseline for you to go by and just kind of and it gives you a good overview of the coins as well. And sometimes it has double dies or some errors too that you might want to look for when you're looking for coins. And it gives you, your key dates. So,
So the other thing that someone's bringing up on here too that gets me kind of thinking is they mentioned that so Craig and West Texas Stacker do a lot of 90% because it's more reputable.
mhm.
So one of the things I will kind of throw out there, guys, when you're looking at what kind of silver to stack, is there's a couple factors I look at personally. You know, one is what am I going to do with the silver and what's my intention for it? If I'm only stacking silver for an SHTF situation like the the government going down, an EMP, or I don't know, whatever calamity may come. If that's all you're stacking for at all, then I think getting the least expensive silver is going to make a lot of sense. Um, and so things, things like the bars that we were showing earlier can be very good. But I also think these aren't quite as recognizable. Now, it does say 1 ounce of silver, which is important, and that's going to
Mhm.
matter. Um, these will be more recognizable. They'll be easier to barter with. You may not get as much value out of them, though. But these quarters can be very key. So your constitutional junk silver could be very key for people when you're trading. The thing is you're still paying a pretty good premium on this versus like the bars. So you gotta be careful with that.
And well, I do like constitutional as well because it's fractional. If you
It
think
is.
about it, it's fractional already. Even if I didn't sell it for the silver, and we'll say that I needed money quickly, you can still spend those, and they're still recognizable. I wouldn't want to spend them because they are silver, but if I had to, I could. So I like to have junk silver if I could find it at a good price.
I do too. So most recently, you guys probably saw my video come out 2 days ago about going to Liberty Coins. Um, so what you'll see on there, hopefully you guys are seeing me okay. I'm getting some weird notification about a camera, but let me try plugging it in and see if that helps. I picked up some constitutional silver. That'll be in my next video that hopefully will come out on. I think it'll be on Monday.
Hmm.
But I
And
was
you
able
got it for
for
a
eighteen
good price,
dollars and like
right?
80 cents
Yeah,
per dollar face.
not bad.
It's a good price. Um,
That is a good price.
so my rule of thumb for constitutional junk silver is under. I try to get it under $18 if I can, but I
Mhm.
usually won't buy if it's over 20. So
Same. I
So
tried,
if
yeah.
it's over 20, I'm not a buyer. If it's if it gets back up again to where it's like in the high 20s to 30s, I may sell some of it too. But Nick, what's a good amount of constitutional silver to have if someone's looking to
That's such a
stack
hard
that?
question. I I don't know. I think it's gonna be, anyone's preference. It's just a preference. I'd like to have as much of it as I can. I do find that constitutional silver is a very easy sell on eBay. If I was to put some up on eBay, I can sell that within a couple hours. I don't want to do that though. I did sell my half dollars, my 64 Kennedy's junk silver, only because they take up more room. I prefer, rosy dimes. They take up less room in Washington quarters. But I just think it's a personal preference.
I do too. So for me, what I kind of looked at was what can you do with them? What are they worth today? So if you look at a dime, um, they're I figure they're worth somewhere between $2 and $2.50, depending on where they vary. And then you're looking at quarters at around $5 to $6, right? And then you got the half
Hmm.
coming in around like $8 to $10. So my rule of thumb is I'm looking at constitutional silver for bartering potentially, and then it's just part of my silver stack. But what could I buy with it, and then how much would I need for that? So it is a really big trick question. I think part of it comes down to, do you have food storage? How much of that do you have? How long would that last? And then what would you be looking to buy with silver anyway? I don't think anybody's going to have enough silver to probably use it to just trade for goods and services for multiple years at a time. I don't know if anybody's stacking that much, but to me, I look at 100 ounces of silver being a really good goal to get started with. Uh, a lot of people will struggle to get there. So I'm not saying you have to have that much. And there's going to be other people that are going to shoot past that. But I think for me, that was a kind of a goal that I was looking at, was that, can I get to 100 ounces of silver? I feel like that's going to be a good amount that's going to help.
Yeah.
And I did that.
And see, I don't want all the weight. I don't want so much weight
Yeah.
in silver. Um, that's just a personal preference as well. I would rather have some more gold because I think if you were to get up and have to go, are you going to be able to carry it all with you? Probably not.
So so let's shift over to gold for a minute.
Yep.
I'm going to get the chart ready as we're talking here, but looking at gold, uh, you brought up a good point on gold. It's one thing you can actually take with you for um, fairly easily, and it's one that you can definitely pack a lot more value in, right?
And it's also an easier sell than silver as well. Wouldn't you say, is that your experience? It's been my
Experience. So
experience.
here's another gold coin I'll show you guys. Um, so this is one I have, and I may end up selling this one if I can get the right price for it. But this is a Saint Helena. It's a Saint Helena Queen Elizabeth 2021 Queen's Virtue, and it's valued $100 in that country. It's 4/9 fine gold. You can see the back of it there, and a gold coin like this is going to range, fairly close to 1950 to 2050 right now. That one in particular may, depending on its mintage, be higher. I haven't checked it recently. So if I could get $2,300 for it and sell it and turn around and buy a gold bar from Costco, which I just read up on yesterday, if you guys were on the live stream, for $1,950, and I can have an extra $200 to $300 in my pocket after paying some fees on eBay, that might be worth it. I'm not really attached to that coin, and
Right.
I can get a
And
little.
some in the chat are talking about that they may not be able to afford gold, but you don't have to buy the 1 ounce.
You
You could
don't.
start with a 1/10. And I realized when I stopped buying so much silver throughout the month and stopped spending so much at auctions or even on, other games that you may find to win silver, I was able to afford the gold. It takes a little bit more discipline, but then there's other ways. And you and I had discussed this on another live stream on how to save money to save up for gold. Um,
I completely agree. And so, you'll hear some people say don't buy anything below a quarter ounce of gold. Um, I'm not going to tell you guys to do that. I'm going to tell you to have some gold if you can afford it. And
mhm.
if funds are tight, get started with a tenth of an ounce. I'd rather have you have a tenth of an ounce of gold than wait until you can afford an ounce of gold. I'd rather have you have some of it personally. And I think fractional can be very smart, and I'll explain that in a second here too. Is um, when we start to see gold move up and we start to see inflation, uh, gold get caught up to where inflation has been, and we start to see a significant move up in it. When you see gold hit $3,000 an ounce, $4,000 an ounce, $5,000 an ounce, it's going to start to become much harder to move it in those larger denominations, and you're going to start hitting into tax brackets and other things like that. Especially if you're selling it on an online to an online store. Some of you are going to lose it in a ship, or sorry, in a boat out on the lake. I know what's going to happen, but
Yeah, I don't have any.
or
It's gone.
yeah, there you go. It's all gone, and
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to it. But if you're going to the point where you're going to pay income tax on it, having fractional could be very helpful. The other thing that happens is if we get into a more hyperinflationary state where the dollar continues to lose value very quickly, having to sell an ounce of gold at a time means that you're selling more of your value and you're getting into more fiat. Whereas you may want to only sell a tenth of an ounce of gold to just take care of a few of the bills you may have to deal with. So there are some
And
benefits to having fractional.
Randy Matthews has joined us in the chat, and he
Randy
says,
in the
"Buy
house.
whatever you."
Hey,
I'm
Randy, how's it
sorry. Oh, he says, "Buy what you can afford," and I agree with that
exactly?
100%. Um, don't go in debt buying, gold and silver. That's totally against what I would do. But it also, I won't pay over. I buy the fractional gold and I buy the 1/10 because in my area, I mean, that's going to be easier for me to sell versus an ounce.
I agree. So to your point, Nick, I think there's a time and a place for 1 ounce. I think there's a time and a place for a tenth of an ounce.
Yeah.
I think you'll get a little more bang for your buck if you buy a quarter of an ounce than a tenth of an ounce. You'll get even
Of
more
course,
if you buy
and then,
an ounce.
yeah. Mhm.
But it's not always about the premiums, guys, and it's not always about trying to get it at the lowest amount of money per ounce either. It's about the principle of why are you stacking in the first place. Um,
Right.
if you want to
Yep.
stack and you believe that it's important to do it, the easiest place to get started, in my opinion, is going to be in constitutional silver like this, right? This is going to be some of the
Mhm.
easiest stuff to grab. Depending on the time, right now, you can still grab it. A little earlier this year, it was harder, but you do have that. You can pick up generic bars, right? These are pretty good. And, depending on what the premiums on are for eagles, you may look at Canadian maple leafs, or you may look at like Australian kangaroos or Britannias from Great Britain. All of those coins can be coins that are more affordable for you. Um, I would be careful with going into coins that are fractional, so you can get like tenth of an ounce of silver that looks like an American eagle. It's not a coin
Yeah,
for.
I don't care for
I
those,
wouldn't touch that.
to be honest with you. So OC Stacker has a question. He says, "How do you feel about buying grams of gold?" And to be honest with you, I think that it's good to start. If that's a start for you to start collecting gold, because you can get enough grams and then sell it and then start buying the 1/10. That's how I began and started stacking gold, was is a gram at a time. And then I was able to sell it when gold went a little bit higher, and I think it was last summer, and I started to buy 1/10. So I think that there could be a strategy in it, and I think that that could be a good start.
I would agree. I work with a lot of people from India, being in high tech, and what I can
Mhm.
tell you is people from India, at least the few people I've talked to, they don't put money in the bank. So the only amount of cash they have in the bank, and these are people living in the United States that are making United States wages.
Mhm.
They a lot. Some of them are citizens, some of them are not yet. They do not put a lot of cash in the bank. So as soon as their paycheck hits the bank, they pay their bills and they take the money out. And what do they do with it? Any savings they have, they go and buy grams of gold. Um, they go off the metrics, so they go off of grams more than they would off of like
Mhm.
American eagles and buffaloes, um, and getting the fractional size of gold. They don't really mess around with going after like the Swiss gold bars, like the Pamp Suisse or the Volcambi, necessarily. They're going to go with whatever's the least expensive, and they're going to buy
Right.
gold, and that's what they do.
Smart.
And if they happen to have enough money to just buy one, approximately it's say 70 to 75 bucks for a gram, they'll buy one. But if they have a lot more money, then they'll buy a handful of them at a time. And so why are they doing that? Well, partially because their currency has had major issues, a lot more than we've had in our past. They aren't the de facto currency or the petrodollar or the world reserve dollar, and so they have had to rely on things like gold to be more stable over time. Additionally, their
Yes.
gold has been around for thousands and thousands of years, and gold is something that they wear a lot of, and it's
I was
part
just gonna
of
say they purchase a lot of gold jewelry as well as investment, and I think that's a great investment too, because I like to wear gold. So, um, I like to put a little bit of money into jewelry as well.
I think it's fun, and I think it's great to have things that you're wearing that you could also barter with if you had to. Last
Right, because if you're wearing it, what if you're in another country and you do not have any cash on you, or you can't get your credit cards, you possibly could barter with your jewelry.
And then the other thing I'll throw out there too with gold, and then we're going to look at the chart here in a second, is I like to have a little bit of fun too. So I don't, if I were only looking for savings with gold and silver and I didn't start a YouTube channel and all I wanted to do was to have a percentage of my money or wealth in gold and silver, I may just look generic bars and I made it for both gold and silver and just keep it at that. Get the cheapest stuff and just
Mhm.
and keep it there. Um,
Yeah.
as someone that also likes to collect, that's really boring to me. Um, it's probably a smart strategy for someone that wants to keep it simple. But I do like to have a variety of different kinds of coins and find something that's kind of fun here and there. And so for me, I kind of buy what I have the ability to buy. I look at what my funds are. I don't go into debt for it. And then what I do is I set some goals for it. So I like to say, okay, maybe I have $100 this month that I can spend. And if I only have $100 this month, I need to make the decision on whether I'm going to save up 2 months and buy a 10th ounce of gold plus a little change, or if I'm going to go and do silver. And so I know for a lot of people, they start off with silver. And as they start getting their silver stack put together, then they start realizing, hey, this is a lot of metals and it's heavier. And then they start looking at gold inevitably. So that's kind of how a lot of people get started with it. But I think grams are good. I think tenth of an ounces are good. Um, if you've
Buy
got a
what
little
you
bit,
can afford. You buy what you can afford because you could
I,
eventually sell it and then buy larger amounts.
I completely agree. So,
Yeah.
yes, something in my eye. So,
I personally am more of generic silver now, and I like the silver eagles, and then I also like the gold eagles, 1/10. But to your point is that you don't want it to be boring. I find that when I had all the pretty stuff and what catches my eye, it just goes into the safe anyways. I don't look at it. I don't bring it out. So to your point about it being boring, I think it all could be boring because it's all put away.
it
So
totally can. So, my caveat on that would be don't overpay for something that's less boring to you.
right, right. So to me, a lot of it is like when I'm collecting as far numismatic, it's the kill of the chase of trying to find something. So, for example, when I have completed my set of Walking Liberties, but it was always trying to find that date, and the hardest date to find for me was the 1921D. So that's what I find exciting in trying to find silver in a coin star or trying to find silver in a roll. That's where the excitement comes for me. And then the learning of
Right.
all, particular coins is especially numismatic.
I think that's fun. And so, kind of where we started off, we talked about star notes. I think that's kind of been a fun hunt for me now. Anytime I get money, I'm looking
Yeah.
at it now. You
Hmm.
look at it. Anytime I get change, I'm flipping my quarters on their side and I'm looking to see, are they silver or do I see copper? So my wife's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "That's not a good one."
Yeah. Right. Yes, I love to. Yeah.
So I look at that now, and then to your point too, so let me rephrase too. Keeping it fun can be in a lot of different ways.
For a lot. Yes.
Yeah, it can be fun in a lot of different ways. So part of what I look at too is, um, for example, I'll take a tenth of an ounce of gold in account here. If a tenth ounce gold eagle is going for $250, okay, I know the prices have come down a little bit,
Yeah.
but I can buy a maple leaf tenth ounce for $220. I'm going to buy the maple partially because
I
I think
see
it's
it.
fun, and partially because it's different than maybe what I have if I have a bunch of eagles. I've also
Hmm.
been able to buy some at like 230 that had a gorilla on them, or had a lady justice on it that were kind of cool. So I do like getting a few different things that are variety, but I'm not overpaying for them. I'm usually paying less than I would for a U.S. currency, um, and it's something I've done. It's not something I do a lot of. It's every once in a while if I can find a great killer deal that I'm just gonna pick up.
That's another thing is exciting. I try to find those killer deals and I can find them, and that's another type of excitement when you can find them cheaper and at the best price. I mean, right?
I agree. And then okay, so I got a comment from West Texas Stacker I just have to read out because it's hilarious.
I hope it's a bad one because I was gonna reference that one myself.
All right, you want to talk about it? You want to reference it?
Oh, no, you go ahead and read it,
All right, I
but
just thought it was funny.
I thought it was quite funny.
West Texas Stacker doesn't get bored because he just throws his silver all over the bed and rolls around in it.
Rolls around it and I hope he's not hurting himself when he's
Oh,
rolling around on his
yeah,
silver,
I
and
hope not.
yeah, he's got special, areas protected.
Yeah, and
Um,
I would
so
yeah. So If it's junk silver, you're gonna get like your clothes are gonna get filthy dirty.
And
But
ew, gross if it's junk silver. Oh, they're so nasty. I do not touch. Okay. So I do not touch my junk silver with my hands. I have gloves on all the time. And if you see your gloves, it is so nasty. Money is nasty. But
it is bad. I did the coin roll hunting, and the gloves were trashed after a couple rolls.
yeah, oh my God, the gross. And I have to constantly change my gloves because I've been going through some change. And oh, I'm going gross. You are so right about pouncing on the deals. Steve Woods has joined our chat,
Hey, Steve, welcome.
Surfer. So
And
good
I
to
don't know if we
see
called
him.
out Lulu lately is in here as well, and we also had let's see, it was Jim Doc joined
Yes.
too.
Yeah, somebody just asked about bankrolls. Yes, go to your bank, ask for bankrolls. I do. And that was another question I was going to ask. Have anyone been finding any silver in their rolls if they're buying boxes? I have
I
not in a
tried,
very long time.
and
You
nada,
tried. You did try. And
nada.
to be honest with you, I would more so I like to buy the half dollars or quarters because if you could see the dates easier.
I agree. So
If
we
you go, yeah.
tried dimes. The dimes were no good. We tried the quarters, no good. I have an order for half dollars, and I don't even think they've been able to get them in yet. I've been waiting a month, and they still don't have them.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
And the reason for the half dollars on the dates because there's some special dates that you want
yep.
to look at that there's some very expensive errors that you can find. And so in some 40% like the 70 I believe is the 70D Kennedy 40% um is a good coin to find. And if you got it in very good condition, send it in for grading because it's worth a lot of money in a very high grade, but it can be worth a lot of money. So that's why I like to see my dates um, on the half dollars.
I agree. And then Joseph, yeah, send me some information on that. We can try to help look that up for you and see if we can figure something out. But honestly, guys, for me, it all comes down to setting a goal. It comes down to doing your research and watching a lot of channels like our channels, as well as other ones that are out there, and starting to get involved in stacking silver. It is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You don't have to do it overnight. As Nick agrees to on what we just talked about, I don't think it's a good idea to go and take out a home equity line of credit to go buy a bunch of silver and gold. I'd rather have you guys get out of debt, and I'd rather have you get some food storage and backup water. Have some bottles around or barrels. If things really get crazy, you're going to be needing food and water before you're going to need silver. You're really not going to be doing a lot of bartering until things kind of smooth out a little bit anyway. When you're starting to do your silver, I think it's good to set a goal and then start to do what's called dollar cost averaging, which means you're going to buy a little bit in different intervals. So some people that's going to be every week. They're going to jump on a YouTube channel auction and they're going to buy 1 ounce of silver. For other people, that might be waiting the entire month to get your ounce of silver. For other people, they may have a bunch of money and they're looking to buy larger chunks, and so you may not go to an auction or you may not go to a LCS. You may be buying from an online bullion dealer and they're sending you a bunch of metals. And congratulations if you're able to do that. That's great. But the key is to do a little bit of it and to get a little bit more prepared with it and to understand those differences. There's times where I'm doing more silver and there's times I'm doing more gold.
Yeah.
And for me, I haven't really played the gold to silver ratio yet because I haven't been doing it long enough. The ratio's kind of stayed where it's been at the last few years. But I had a question for you on that, Nick. Is that something you've ever played? Have you played around with the gold and silver ratio at all?
No, I really haven't. No, it's I go by Silver Huskies here. Good to see you. No, that's not something I really look at when
Okay.
I'm buying.
So some people do
I do
that.
want to I'm sorry. I do want to reference Jim. He says I think the 70D Kennedy was only in the mint sets. Yes, that is correct. They're only in the mint sets. But if there's a lot of people out there like myself that like to break open sets, and sometimes they don't realize that they may have threw it, into a Coinstar or somewhere spent it, and you could find them in coin rolls. And I have found many 70Ds in coin rolls.
Wow.
So yes, you can find them, but yes, they are only in mint sets. So you do, people need to have either a mint set or find them in a roll to, complete their set and put it in their set if they're collecting the Kennedys.
So why would you crack open a mint set?
I crack them open because the plastic, number one, is terrible for these coins. And I break all my sets, and and I have not yet had a set that I would not break. Maybe probably 50s and early 60s. Nah, I start at 60 above, and I break them all open, and I'll put them under my scope. There's a lot of errors in some of these coins, and you really cannot see it through that plastic. And the plastic is will tone them, and sometimes it will melt to the coins. Um, and sometimes once you break them open, are worth more out of the set than they were even in the mint set. So, but research first, but I break them all open, and then I'll cut the plastic, ones open as well. And then also another set to find is 1987 because that's the only set they can get the Kennedys. They were only in the mint sets in 1987, so you need that coin as well. So if you find that coin roll hunting, keep that, take that out because people need that to complete their sets.
I think that's awesome. And how do you keep the coins after you break them out and you've looked under your microscope?
A lot of times I'm just throwing them back into the circulation, and then so if they're a good coin, I'll put them in a flip.
Okay. So you guys probably get flips every once in a while if you're buying from one of the online bullion dealers. Keep those. You can reuse them.
Well, I put them in a cardboard flip that that I have like a
Cardboard.
big
Oh,
stack of.
plastic on it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
there is,
those are
but
great, guys. That's going to keep it a
not,
little
they're
bit
not
more
like
stable.
it's not like the mint plastic, the cellophane. It's not like that.
So you guys have seen them. They're little cardboard and
Yeah,
they're stapled, and then people will write on them. So you'll see a lot of those that are out there. Someone else mentioned mylar. It's probably made
yeah.
out of a mylar plastic. And then, I haven't seen anybody use a vacuum sealer. I wonder if that would work or would that ruin your coins?
I don't know. It's not something that I
Never done it.
um never thought of. No, I would think that more of food
Chet Stacker, thank
storage.
you for dropping it in today. Nick, I think we'll probably wind it down here in just a minute.
Yeah.
So the last thing I just wanted to show you guys real quick was the gold price real fast. And then I think we can wind this down here. And then remember, we're going to be doing this on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So what we would love to do and hear from you guys is you can email me stackingsurfer@gmail.com. And Nick, what is your email address, or do you want them just to email to me?
It's Nick's Coins LLC at gmail.com.
Okay, so you guys can email either one of us. We would love to hear some questions or thoughts on what you would like to see on the next live stream on Tuesday. And then we'll do the same thing going into Thursday. So as we're getting started with this, we're going to be thinking of different subjects that we find, in the news or articles that come up that'll be interesting. As always, there may be some new people that jump in here with questions that may seem a little redundant to some people or newbie. We're still going to try to help them and address some of those. But we would
And we
love,
kind of hope that it will be both numismatic coins
yes,
and as far in collecting and then stacking gold and silver. But we're hoping that a little bit, of on the numismatic side.
for sure. So I'm going to throw mine in here real quick for you guys too.
And West Texas Stacker is going to look into those vacuum seals, and I may as well. But as long as he's not hurting himself on top of his silver, we kind of hope. I'm kind of worried about him a little bit.
So Jamie wants to know how to become an LCS on our next live stream. Okay, we may have to do a little research on that one.
Yeah, I mean, well, and I could talk a little bit about that too, because my LCS decided to close its doors. He's 90 years old and he retired and he was not selling his business. And yes, I did try to look into that. So
So Lulu
I could
Lily
speak
says,
on that a bit.
"Sorry, total newbie here. There is no sorry about being a totally newbie here. We're going to try to
Absolutely
hit.
not.
We love to help people out. So we were all newbies at one time, and
Yeah.
so what I would love to do on the format here, and Nick, maybe you got some other good ideas too, but I'd like to have an article or two that we're talking about on the stream. I think we're going to try to keep it to about an hour on most
Yeah.
of them, and we went a little over on this one here, but um, we'd like to have an article or two that we're talking about. We'd love to help answer some of your questions that you guys have around stacking. Sometimes it might be about a particular metal, it might be about a kind of coin. We definitely want to get into some more of the numismatic questions and help you guys understand what you're looking for there and how that works. And then in general, we'll probably, as current events happen, we may talk about banking, we may talk about interest rates and spot
Yeah.
prices getting affected. And one of the
Because
things
the Fed
I'll,
will be meeting soon, right? The Fed will be meeting soon. So that'll be a subject that we could talk about, but also about our mistakes and what we've learned and our experiences that, especially for like newbies, because, we've had many experiences, both mistakes and then positive. So that would be fun to share with everyone as well.
for sure. And then Nick does a live stream Saturday at 8 o'clock Eastern. I most of the time have a live stream going at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern on Wednesdays. So you guys can catch that. I try to get a video or two out a week as well, so you'll be able to see those out there. And the last thing I just want to show you guys real quick before we sign off, I just wanted to show you the gold price here real quick so you can see that again. And as you can see, gold is sitting pretty high from where it's been since 2000, basically the end of 2018, and we're seeing prices coming down a little bit right now. But you're going to see some dips, you're going to see some ups and downs. But right now, I think what you're mostly seeing happening over this last year is you're starting to see some weakness in the dollar. There's something wrong with that chart there. We do not have a line that looks like that. But what you're going to start seeing is you're going to start seeing some people trying to figure out what's happening with the Fed and what their rates are going to do. So right now, there's people that believe that the Fed's not going to raise interest rates again, and they're going to hold them steady, and then they'll lower them.
Yeah.
Some other people think they're going to go up. Typically, when rates go up, prices go down for gold and silver. Um, that can change if there's a lot of uncertainty in the market of banks and uncertainty of the strength of the dollar, and you could see it holding strong. And that's kind of what we've seen up until the last couple days when you've seen gold go below 1900. So I think there's a little bit of anticipation of maybe the Fed might raise rates a little bit here. What we should see when rates go down, though, when the Fed U-turns and decides, hey, we've had too much pain, we need to start lowering rates, you'll typically see gold and silver go up. Gold first, and then silver will follow suit. And then you can see some explosive growth over about an 18-month period of time. And that's if you look at history. So as those things are happening in real time, we're going to try to help you guys understand what's going on. We'll try to answer the questions
Yeah.
as best can. So that's kind of what I
There's a
want to leave off on.
There's a short window when the rates do go up. There's a short window when gold and silver will come down. And if you can catch that window when it comes down, that's a good time to buy. So, but we could talk more about that as well.
Definitely. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out. Nick, I want to thank you for jumping on
Well,
the show together with me. And I look forward to next Tuesday.
I
And
do too.
everybody have a wonderful week. And until next time, peace out.
Have a blessed week.
See you guys.